Hey everyone, Chris Patterson here with Coach Pat Fitness AZ and Impact Training and Fitness. I'm here again with Jake, and today we are going to go over how to do a front squat. One of the things that you're starting to see with a lot of strength and athletic programs is people are actually getting away from the back squat and programming more front squats. I still love back squats. I still program back squats for my athletes and do back squats myself. But one of the things that we're kind of finding out is the front squat is kind of more of an athletic position. I mean, if you think football, if you think wrestling, if you think baseball or softball, basketball, a lot of times we're moving forward, we're pushing forward, weight is loaded forward, and so front squats tend to mimic that position. It also tends to be a little easier on the shoulders, especially if you have those throwing or overhead athletes like baseball players, volleyball players, and quarterbacks. You want to be really, really careful with the shoulders. So a lot of programs are starting to program front squats over back squats. And, in all honesty, if we're doing other things like power cleans and trap bar deadlift and stuff like that, you're going to be every bit as strong in your back squat if you have a really good front squat. So we're going to show a couple variations with our front squat. In another video, we talk about how to squat. So our hip hinge and everything is going to be the same. One of the things that you might notice with a front squat is more emphasis on your quads and your glutes, less emphasis on our hip flexors and hamstrings. So the first front squat that we're going to go over is out of our front rack. And if you watched our power clean video, you saw Jake front rack out of the power clean. So we're going to get underneath the bar. We're going to let the bar rest on our front delts and kind of collarbone area. Sometimes when athletes first start, it is a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. They kind of have to get used to it here. So Jake is going to front rack. He's going to step out a little bit further here. And one of the things that you notice about Jake's hands, he doesn't need to grip the bar fully, but what I do want is I want his elbows driving up as much as possible. You can't necessarily see it through the plate, but his elbows are driving up. And as Jake hits his squat here, okay, he's going to hip hinge back, right? We want those shins perpendicular to the ground as possible. So he goes ahead and drops into his squat here. Perfect. Come back up. Excellent, right? And so we're driving those elbows up. So the key here is as we come back up, we want to drive our elbows to the sky. Go ahead one more time, Jake. So he drops down a squat, drives those elbows up. Go ahead and rack it. Beautiful. Good. Okay, so that's how to do a front squat out of the front rack. Okay, now I'm going to bring the camera over here so you guys can kind of see this front view of Jake as he's doing his front squat. You can kind of see what he's doing with his elbows here. Let's see if this works. Just do that. Beautiful. Go ahead and Jake and go ahead and get in that front squat again. Right here, if you notice his elbows, good. Walks the bar out. Going to drive those elbows up as he squats down. Drive those elbows up. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and rack it, Jake. Okay, now if we have some shoulder problems or we have some shoulder mobility problems like myself, one of the variations of a front squat, and I try to avoid this with my athletes because we really want to work on shoulder mobility, but the reality is some people don't have very flexible shoulders or they're dealing with some shoulder injuries. So Jake is going to go ahead and get underneath the bar again. The bar rests at the same spot, but now he's going to cross his arms over the bar, which holds the bar in place. He's going to unrack. Now, one of the things that I hope you notice out of this position, however, is even as Jake squats down, he's still driving his elbows up as he comes out of his squat position. So that concentric motion, he's driving his elbows up. Let's go ahead and hit one more. Good. Go ahead and stand there for a second, Jake. If you notice his feet, contrary to our power clean, when I coach people in the squat, I normally tell them that I want their feet to be in a natural position. So if you naturally walk with your feet turned outwards a little bit, that's perfectly okay. I see a lot of strength coaches that kind of they want their athletes to point their toes forward, and that's just a really unnatural position for their feet. And so just a natural position right there is fine. And of course, lastly, with our front squat and any squat, we always really want to focus on this hip hinge. So I'm going to have Jake squat one more time, but as he squats, I'm going to have him poke his butt back like he's sitting down on a chair. And that's that good hip hinge. And then he drops into his squat. And if we drew a straight line from his toe, ankle area, through his knee, through his shoulders, we'd probably get pretty straight line there. So one more time, Jake. We get that nice hip hinge. Boom. Very good. Go ahead and rack that, Jake. So once again, front squats are one of those really essential movements that I believe help build power, strength, and of course, muscular size hypertrophy if that's your goal. I hope this helps. I hope you can program this for yourself and program this for any athlete that you might be training. So until next time,